left with the surgical management of the glaucoma. So we'll finish off today the surgical management of the glaucoma. So when you need the surgery during glaucoma, you all of you know when the patient is on medical therapy and not responding to that, the patient is not compliant for the drugs because sometimes patient may need 2 to 3 drugs simultaneously. The old age people are there, and it's very difficult to maintain the multiple drugs. Okay, and if the patient who are staying far away and unable to come for the follow-up for glaucoma, then in such cases also we like to prefer to surgical mode of treatment. So it is mainly related to your angle of the anterior chamber. You know already the structures what are present. That is root of the iris, ciliary body band. Okay, then scleral spur, then trabecular meshwork and sharp baseline. So next the trabecular meshwork goes into your channels, different channels, and into the subscleral space. So this is the angle of anterior chamber, and from externally where we go for the surgical incision, it is the junction between the anterior and the posterior limbus ideally, where it opens your angle of the anterior chamber. Okay, that is the bluish zone that is present at the limbus, that we call it as a surgical angle. So there are various kinds of the surgeries. For the open angle glaucoma there are various, and for the close angle there are various. For the open angle glaucoma, laser trabeculoplasty is there and the incisional therapy is there. And for the close angle, laser iridotomy is there, laser gonioplasty or peripheral iridoplasty and peripheral iridotomy. You know the concept, that is in open angle glaucoma, mainly the pathology is at the level of trabecular meshwork, right? So even the angle is open, the drainage is affected because of this closure of the pores of trabecular meshwork. So you need to open. In closed angle, even though the angle is okay, this angle is closed peripherally, either the various causes. Okay, so you need to open it from externally and make an artificial or a new channel for the drainage of aqueous. Coming to the first part, that is the laser trabeculoplasty. Okay, here what we using a laser, and we have a different lenses to visualize the angle of the anterior chamber, and we are hitting the laser at the trabecular meshwork. So because of this laser, what happens? There will be shrinkage in the trabecular meshwork, and the adjacent channels will be opened for the drainage of the aqueous. So the various lasers we are using, there argon laser is there, diode laser is there. Again, one is we call it a selective laser. So what are the indications of this? As I told you, it is primary open angle glaucoma, again pigmentary glaucoma, exfoliative syndrome, and steroid-induced, where trabecular meshwork is mainly affected. So this is not effective in case of phakic or pseudophakic eyes. Okay, by this method we are lowering the pressure by 20 to 25%. Then coming to the next, that is incisional therapy, that is mainly done in case of closed angle glaucoma, where the trabecular meshwork is not accessible therapy because of the different causes. The angle is closed. So you are making a new opening in the angle of the, especially in between your anterior chamber and externally into the subscleral space. Okay, so here you have to look for the fistula, that is the opening we have done, and the important role is the filtering bleb and the roots of the aqueous. As I told you, the mechanism action is here we are bypassing the trabecular meshwork and the ciliary or the Schlemm's canal. So directly opening is done between the angle of the anterior chamber and the aqueous is absorbed into the subscleral space and surrounding tissue. Okay. And after this filtering surgery, or the role of bleb is very important, because how big the bleb is, how it is well elevated, and how it is vascularized. Because even though the opening is done, because of some condition this is closed and the filtering bleb is not formed, and aqueous is not drained, it may leads to the failure of this procedure also. So the healthy bleb is equally important after the surgery. So it should be well elevated and well placed. So you have to follow up of the patients. So again there are two varieties, one is the full thickness and the partial thickness. And the full thickness is the entire the sclera is punched out along with the sclera and the iris. And in partial thickness, the only the part of the iris is the removed. So there are different complications are there. One is intraoperative or it may be early post-operative and late. So during intraoperative, there can be buttonholing of the conjunctiva where you overlap over the fistula for the further formation of the bleb. If this there is a tearing or the buttonholing of this flap, there will be difficulty in forming the bleb, and there can be hemorrhage because you are handling the iris. Though it is a vascular structure, definitely there will be a hemorrhage. There can be choroidal effusion. And in early post-operative day, if excess amount of aqueous is drained, there will be sudden hypotonia and the flat anterior chamber, and there can be, because of this opposition of this iris and the cornea, the endothelium may be get affected, and as I told you, there can be again detachment. The least post-operative complications are there can be a vascularization or the infection of the bleb or the excessive leaking of the blebitis, that is the inflammation of the bleb, or it further will lead to the end of the meeting. So how we avoid such kind of things can be judicious use of the corticosteroids or the 5-fluorouracil or vitamin. These are all anti-fibrotic conditions to prevent the failure of the bleb, the proper functioning of the bleb it helps in, and to reduce the inflammation you can use the corticosteroids. So the laser iridotomy. Here you are making the opening between the posterior and the anterior chamber. Okay, so by preparing the opening at the iris, at the root of. So where contraindication, whenever there is the vascularized iris, that is rubeosis iridosis is there, and the patient is already on the anticoagulant, because there can be a possibility of the hemorrhages. So ask the patient to stop these drugs for a while to avoid the hemorrhages and all. And before doing this, you have to evaluate the cornea, because if cornea is cloud in the periphery because of this arcus senalis, you are unable to see the iris. That means it is very difficult to perform this procedure. So if it is a very shallow anterior chamber, again you are unable to go for this procedure. And engorge, that is a peripheral because of the dilatation, if the foldings of the iris are there, then it is again difficult. So that's why you have to use a pilocarpine to visualize the peripheral cornea clear, because you should see the crepes and those the depressions, whatever they are present in the iris clearly. And you can use the priorly any anti-glaucoma drugs to prevent the sudden raise of the intraocular pressure after the procedure. So in the picture you can make out how the hole is done in the peripheral part, especially it is the superior nasal or the superior temporal part it is done, because one thing, if the opening is very big, again the patient may have the photophobia and all, and it is easily covered by the lid itself. Okay, and the size of the peripheral iridotomy is enough to pass the aqueous. Once it is short, once the total opening is done, a gush of aqueous you can see through that the opening. And when you go for the retroillumination, orange glow is also seen from that the opening. So that indicates your opening is adequate. And so these are the different techniques. One is the argon laser and the Nd:YAG laser. Ideally, what we use in our hospital is Nd:YAG laser. So for that, again you have a different lens is there to the iris. So to the complications, yes, there can be in damage to the endothelium, there can be a bleeding, there can be a inflammation. For particular laser, the complications may occur, but in general it remains the same. Then incisional the iridotomy, where you are making the incision at the angle of the, and laser gonioplasty, iridoplasty, again these are the same, where the main idea is to primarily open the closed angle by making the contraction in the iris, so that if the iris is contracted, the angle is opened easily. So burns are created at the peripheral iris leads to contraction of the iris. Glaucoma drainage devices, there are various devices are there where you are using these shunts in the anterior chamber, and these are these drainage devices have a capacity to by passive mechanism they get the aqueous get drained from the angle of the anterior chamber. So these can be put in a the anterior chamber or the ciliary sulcus, sometimes into the. So there are two types, one is a walled and non-walled. The commonly used walled are the Ahmed wall, and the non-walled are Molteno and Berwald. So in the picture you can make out the different devices. You can see the plate-like thing, and another one is for the tube-like thing. The tube-like thing, depending upon the whatever the length you want to keep it in the anterior chamber, you can cut it, and you can place in the subconjunctiva, deep subconjunctival. Okay, and it is kept very away from the limbus, almost in the fornix, and the space is made. The way it is used, these walls are whenever there is a failed trabeculectomy, or there is active uveitis is there, vascular glaucoma is there. Okay, in such in case of aphakic conditions, so in such kind of cases you can go for this walled filtering walls, and where before the surgery you have to evaluate where adequate movement or motility of the eyes are there or not, and the conjunctival status, because if it is a very fibrotic and inflamed conjunctiva, you can't go for the surgery. The should be healthy conjunctiva, sclera should be good, and contraindications, because there is a possibility of touch of this tube, the silicone tube to the endothelium. So already the decompensated cornea is there, the further it may leads to the endothelial damage and it leads to the corneal edema. So avoid if already decompensated cornea is. And complications, as I told you, this tube can touch the cornea, there can be excess drainage, it may lead to the flat chamber, hypotony. Sometimes the tube may occlude and it may lead to the failure of the surgery. So these are the various complications. And coming to the last is the cyclodestructive procedure. Especially it is done in case of the absolute glaucoma with a blind eye, where there is a continuous rise of the pressure but the patient doesn't have the vision. So that time you have to go for this procedure. So it is done either by the lasers or by your cycloplyro. That is a very deep thaw of cold temperature is used to destruct the ciliary body. That is the cyclodestructive procedure. One is the translateral, your endociliary process. It's how the machine is, and you have a probe and you are keeping at the limbus a few millimeter, 2 millimeter away from the limbus. In a single sitting or the 2 sittings you can do in all the 3 sittings. And these are some complications, that is uveitis, hyphema, and blood decompression. Okay, the late failure of the filtration or the leaking of the filtering. And as I told you, that is using cyclocryotherapy, where you are using the very cold temperature to destruct the ciliary body. So that is usually available and made available in most of the centers, which is done by a blind. So here we are finishing the surgical the procedures of the management of the glaucoma. And please go through each part and study. Thank you.